Well, cheerio, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind.
Righto.
Hello.
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 Everybody do one?
Hello.
Hello.
Again.
Hello, mate.
There we go.
Righto.
Can we do a different accent? Everybody on the fly. Ready, go.
Hola.
That's your normal voice.
Good evening. Welcome to TexAgs Radio.
That was good. All right.
Good.
It's TexAgs Rewind, brought to you by T-Mobile. They want you to visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to learn how you get more value and coverage through T-Mobile. The Fan Show guys are here. Randy making his debut. Matt's here often, and so is Roy. And we had a lot to talk about on the show. We had Ross Bjork in studio. You guys listened?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
absolutely.
Fantastic. Would you lie to me if you didn't
Fantastic.
listen?
Oh, yeah, I listen.
Okay.
No, he's must listen.
Yeah, he's must listen.
Handsome man. Handsome man.
The 1-2 punch of going Ross and Schloss.
Isn't that good?
Ross, what up? That sounds like a law firm.
Rhyming over here.
Ross and Schloss.
Got Dr. Seuss over here.
Right? Ross and Schloss. I can't even do it with my tongue. Schloss, I should say. John Scheschuk joined us, of course, and these knuckleheads were here for TexAgs Rewind. Watch it right now. Let's talk about the state of Aggie athletics, man. How are we feeling about everything going on right now?
Well, I think it's been a really good spring. I mean, if you look at where women's golf came from, really kind of out of nowhere, but they were surging in the fall. Had a couple good tournaments early in 2022, and then to finish in the Final Four. The women's tennis, SEC champions, undefeated in SEC play, tournament champions, regular season champions, going to the Elite Eight, and really kind of lost. That Oklahoma match kind of in a weird way, just with an injury. And so just what they did all season. Track and field's always going to be track and field. I know we had some folks advance last night on the men's side. The women are tonight. Softball, hey, we still made the NCAA tournament. It wasn't the year that we wanted. We want to be, and obviously, went through a transition. We can talk about that, but still made the tournament. And then baseball, just an unbelievable turnaround. So I think just the spring, I think it provides a lot of momentum to be playing baseball the middle of June, to have that conversation going, and then before we know it, it'll be football season.
Right.
So I think it just creates a lot of momentum, and then we've launched our capital campaign. We've got great academic success. So overall, it's been a really, really fun spring, and I think it just creates momentum for what we're trying to build.
Well, it's been a very busy spring for you, especially when it comes to hiring coaches. And I know that in some sports and some athletic directors, they hire a research firm and things like that. I wonder what your process of going through when you're going to hire a new coach, because obviously the Schloss-Nagel thing is working out great. I'm having trouble
Johnny
with
Taylor?
I'm having trouble with the women's golf coach.
Coach Chadwell.
Yeah, Coach Garrett Chadwell.
And then there's so
Chadwell,
much excitement about Joni Taylor
Yep.
and now Miss Ford.
Yeah, and we forgot men's golf. Men's golf had a really good run to the championship, and Coach Corton, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle because we elevated him. He was an internal hire. He wasn't somebody from the outside, if you will. So I guess we've had 5 hires of head coaches since I've been here. Yeah. Men's and women's golf, baseball, women's basketball, and now softball. And so my process is, look, I always want to be kind of a student of the game, if you will. I'm always going to be studying the landscape of coaches, who's thriving, who's evolving. And then when you come to a place like Texas A&M, in the women's search, we sat down and talked to Kelly Bond, being somebody here that's been at Texas A&M for a long time. But then every other coach that we talked to was a sitting Power 5 head coach. The same thing happened in softball. Every coach that we talked to, sitting Power 5 head coach. So to me, you can play at a higher level when you're at a place like A&M. So you're researching a lot differently versus other places I've been. Who's the up-and-coming assistant coach? Mm-hmm. Who's the up-and-coming group of 5 coach, perhaps? So to me, it's just a different kind of level of research because you're at A&M. People want to be here. They see the attractiveness. They see the recruiting base. So I always study the landscape because I want to be prepared in case something might happen. And then we actually do use a search firm. Okay. And we've acknowledged them in all of our searches. Turnkey, ZRG search is who we use. And so what they do is they come ready-made as well because that's their job. Every day they wake up and think about search, whether it's softball or golf or women's basketball. So deploying them in these processes gives you a lot of research and a lot of intel. And then ultimately it's our call but they can help you do the background. So that's how we do it, and I think it's a good process and allows us to.
Now that we know it's Louisville, last time we spoke to you, we did not. Just your thoughts on this matchup and how just what kind of threat and team is Louisville?
Yeah, pretty close to a complete team. You know, their starting pitching has been solid. I wouldn't say it's been elite. It's probably been more consistent than ours, but it's been very good. They have an outstanding left-handed closer that we're going to try to have to avoid if we possibly can. Otherwise, we're going to have to beat a really good arm late in the game. Play solid defense, but they're an offensive team like us. You know, they've hit a lot of home runs. They've stolen over 100 bases. I've been watching videos since about 7:30 this morning, and just about every guy in the lineup can run. You know, they play really well at home on their turf. Their record isn't as good away from home, but that doesn't mean they're not a team. So just, you know, anytime you get to this time of year, obviously you're going to be playing an elite team. There aren't too many teams left that are just, you know, one of those Fresno State clubs that, like 2004, where they just got hot, didn't have a great season, got hot. This is a team that won their division, I believe, of the ACC. So they have a great pedigree in Omaha. They have a Hall of Fame coach in Dan McDonald, so it's going to be slugfest, I'm sure.
Yeah, slugfest, and this team is so equipped to do that. Let's talk a little bit about the pitching matchups. Any thoughts on who's going to go Friday and Saturday?
We're going to decide later today. Obviously, it'll be Detmer or Dallas and Detmer, but trying to let these guys kind of rest up this week. Detmer went to work on a few things a little bit more. So we'll make a decision later today, and then hopefully we've been able to play well for 2 days. But if we get to the third game, we'll just see where we are at that time.
Yes, sir. Talking to Jim Schloss here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. You made a comment the other day that I think all fans loved and really feel like you guys are obviously trending in the right direction playing baseball at this point. You said if we ever get the right mix of pitching and fielding in baseball, we could win a national title. Now, at times you've seen both of those, obviously, all throughout the year, but now the stakes are higher. Just some thoughts on expanding those comments and how close you guys are to that.
Well, I mean, I think the comment when I made that, obviously, you are who you are this time of year. I mean, what you're hoping for is a great performance, right? So you see that across college baseball, where a guy just comes out of nowhere, like the closer for Texas State the other night. Just what a competitor to go out there and throw 7 innings against Stanford and give up 1 run. We're going to need our best pitchers to pitch their very best at the very biggest moments. And Moo and Palish and Will Johnson and Brad Rudis have, for the most part, consistently done that. And Detmer, I mean, he's a 2-time SEC Pitcher of the Week. He's certainly capable. Micah has shown that as well. So, that's how you advance in these things. My comment about pitching and defense is that, I mean, this long term, that's what Texas A&M should be about. I mean, you're in Texas, man. I mean, we should have outstanding pitchers hanging on trees in our bullpen, and I think we have some. But in the future, I think that we're going to get. Coach Childress had some unbelievable arms on those 2015 and 2016 teams, and then the offense is going to come and go. I know it's sexy, it's fun to watch, but the elite pitching. I mean, if you were to take away Tennessee's powerful offense and just leave them with their pitching staff and defense, they would still be in the exact same spot they are. That's what I'm convinced of, and that's where we have to get.
I've learned this about you. You get into college baseball as the year goes on, right? Is that fair? You start following it, and because I've seen you tweeting a lot about it recently.
So it was kind of started as a running gag last year. I'm from Connecticut originally. There were 3 teams that made the original field of 64, UConn, Central Connecticut, and Fairfield. And so I just kind of I had never followed it until last year. And I really followed it all the way to Omaha. I really enjoyed it. Pick Vandy to win it. They let me down, lost to Mississippi State, whatever. So this year I started following a little bit more close. It's the one sport that I really know that like my opinion is invalidated. Like I have no real opinions and I don't have to talk about it and I'm never going to be like an expert on it. So, on radio, you kind of got to know a little bit about the NFL, the NBA, whatever. Obviously, I think I'm pretty smart on college football, college basketball. So I just watch college baseball from a distance. I enjoy it. At some point in my life, I'd like to get to some of these big ballparks, but I just enjoy the tournament. And I thought last weekend really, it kind of went mainstream. It felt like Sunday and Monday, there were a lot of people on my timeline talking about it, tweeting about it. There was the Stanford comeback. There was the UConn controversy in Maryland. So I thought it was a great weekend overall. And I'm definitely into it. If you're asking me to break down the Louisville A&M matchup and, whose bullpen is better, I'm not the guy for that, though. I'll readily admit that.
But you are the guy to notice that Jim Schloss has done an incredible job remaking this program.
100%. No, I remember this time last year when Rob Childress was I think that's the name, was let go. No, you guys were all raving about Schloss. I know he came from TCU, and the one thing that I noticed was, look, we talk about the portal in football, we talk about the portal in basketball, but talking to the guys backstage, talking to Phil yesterday, he said Schloss was one of the early initiators, or maybe not one of, but, used the portal to revamp this team. And one thing that Phil told me that he really liked about A&M is that it's a very, very balanced team. He said you got lefties, you got righties, you got lefties and righties out of the pen, you got whatever. You field the ball well. So again, I'm just going off third-hand knowledge of what other people have told me. But he said what he's done in year one is really impressive. So now let me flip it over to you. Is this going to be like one of these programs? Did they just use the portal for 1 year to kind of jumpstart things? Are they going to be a portal team? Are they going to find the balance between the high schools and the portal? What's Schloss's plan, big picture?
Well, I think he's still figuring that part out. But from everything we've been told, the portal's not his that's not how he wants to build a program. But since it is available there, when you have certain holes, you go to it, right? But the way he's recruiting, I'm telling you, AT, you listen to Bronny on this show and others, he's recruiting at a Jimbo-esque level right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like...
Is Alabama's baseball coach come after him yet? Or
no,
what?
not yet, but he's coming, man. Like, I'm telling you, like this program, it's already, a step away from the College World Series, and I think it's going to be year after year that they're going to be doing something very similar. That moment where you beat Clemson and you punched your ticket to Omaha. What was that like for all the years and sweat that you had put together for that one day?
Yeah, it's hard to describe. I'm not sure that people truly understand what it takes to compete at the Division I level. It is a total investment, and really your life's investment up to that point. If people really understood the work that these kids put in to prepare themselves, I think they would be shocked. It truly is a job in a lot of ways. Now, for me, I loved it so much that it never felt like a job, but you are definitely committed to your craft and fine-tuning your craft. And so when you have all of that work, all that sweat, all those tears, all the frustrations, all the thoughts of transferring, all the thoughts of sticking it out, when you have all that culminate on the biggest stage that the sport offers, it is an incredible experience. And I remember when Casey Fossum struck out Patrick Boyd like it was yesterday. And Patrick Boyd was a great player for Clemson. I'd played with him on the USA team. He was a tools guy. He also had a ton of success on the field. So when you have our best and Casey Fossum going up against their best with the game on the line, and that's coming off us hitting 2 home runs, Steve Scarborough and Stephen Truitt hit home runs in the 9th inning. We were the visiting team in that game. So we go ahead by 1 run, and then you have our best in Fossum versus their best in Boyd with the whole season on the line. And for Casey to get that punch out, man, the sense of elation was incredible. Olsen Field was rocking, and it was a lot of fun. So it definitely brings up a lot of great memories. On the flip side, I'm disappointed with how we performed in Omaha, but that's a whole different discussion about how you're prepared for that final tournament in Omaha compared to just being happy to get there. Are you really going there to win the whole thing?
So I'm preparing for this interview, and I'm looking at some of your stats, and I see your 98 season, and I'm going to read your stats, then I'm going to read somebody else's stats from this year to see who it reminds you of. John Scheschuk, 336 batting average, 98, 16 home runs, and 68 RBI. All right, so I'm looking at that. Now I'm looking at another guy who's kind of a rock star for Texas A&M. He's batting 340. He's got 18 home runs and 59 RBIs. That is Dylan the Rock. So you're putting up some Dylan Rock numbers back in 98, my man.
Well, listen, Dylan Rock's a player. I love watching him come up to the dish. I mean, obviously, he had the huge home run in last weekend's tournament. But, man, just the way he carries himself. And all these kids, gosh, I listened to their interviews on TexAgs. I listened to Jack Moss's interview with Bronny. And when I see the professionalism of these kids and the way they approach the game, it was much different than the way we did it back in my day. But, man, these kids are poised. Dylan Rock's poised. I heard Jack talking about how he slows things down even in the biggest moments. And, man, he's just a stud, and he's performed very well. And I know when he comes up to bat, that whole team is confident in him. And a lot of it's just in the way he carries himself. But he's an impressive young man. He's having a great season. I'm really happy he came over to Texas A&M this year, as he has been a rock, with a full pun intended there, for the order.
Ross, Schloss, and Scheschuk.
Right. Can you do that again on camera? Do it. Try it. Just try it. Ross?
Ross, Schloss, and Scheschuk.
You did it perfectly. Your turn.
Ross, Schloss, and Schlecht.
One more time.
Ross, Schloss, and Schlecht.
Pretty close.
Bunch of 5-year-olds up here.
I like Ross, Schloss, and Nuno.
There you go.
That sounds even better.
Yeah. Hey, so Randy, you know what to tell people to do after these videos?
Yes, sir. Subscribe and like.
And comment.
Share.
You have a big family?
Big family.
You got a big family?
Yeah.
All right.
You'll laugh when I tell you how many first cousins I have.
How many first cousins do you have?
110.
No, I asked that question and I was like, I better ask everybody that. But now I'm more intrigued.
I'm good.
110?
110.
Okay, so here's the deal.
My mom and dad each had 12 brothers and sisters.
Okay, I see that. Can they all comment? Do they all have YouTube?
I
have half of them.
A
third.
Well, if he'll share the link with them, then they can comment.
Kids.
You have 7 kids?
7 kids.
That's what's up, Randy. So Randy, I mean, our viewership has gone up for having Randy on here, so he's got to be a mainstay. What's going on? Sorry, I wasn't supposed to acknowledge. It is TexAgs Rewind. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay, good.